So here's the truth on HR 3. One thing you notice the most is that the bigger the company, the more they like regulations.
That's right.
It keeps all their competition out.
Right.
And I don't know why. I don't know why Democrats don't.
I think Jamie Dimon said something to that effect with the whole Dodd-Frank enormous rate. Said put a moat around his company because they were big enough. They didn't like it, but they could work through it. I want those biotech, those small startup scientists working in some lab in some university or some small company to go, why don't we try this? Nobody's done that.
Right.
By golly, that's where they find a cure. Dr. Brian Drucker at Oregon Health Sciences University developed a drug called Gleevec that deals with stomach cancer. And I've talked to him several times. He said, everybody said, don't go down this path. So I went down that path. And guess what? He discovered this cure for a certain type of stomach cancer.
And our job is to create a system where there's incentive to do that. Right, where there's not punishment for doing that. I mean, because I don't know why anybody would get into that business, risk their livelihood, or risk what is potentially billions and billions of dollars for a system that will simply say, hey, thanks for your efforts, but we're not going to reward you.
And most of these paths do end up in a dead end.
Right.
So all this investment that takes place to find that new cure, like they're trying to do with Alzheimer's, they've all ended up in dead ends.
Right.
But they keep trying. And then if you win, if you find that cure, that new medicine, then the Constitution says that's your intellectual property.
Yeah.
And you get a certain limited length of time to recoup your costs and make money on it.
Right.
And then it's open for competition. And it's in that space.
And if you do it dishonestly, we have some solutions
That's right.
to fix that too. Right.
But once we get to that point where there should be competition, then there should be competition, and that's what we're trying to fix.
Get those
but in the
generics to market
meantime,
faster.
you know, if you invented, I'll go back to Apple. If you invented the iPhone, shouldn't you have a right to that intellectual property?
Right.
You do under American law, and you do for patent protection. And that's why so much of the world's innovation occurs in America. And my fear is we're going to drive us overseas. And we just had a hearing in the Energy and Commerce Committee this recently that looks at what's happening on production of generic drugs and others in overseas production facilities where we have lack of ability to do adequate inspections.
Yeah.
This is a bipartisan investigation we're engaged in. And we don't have the resources to look at every one of those labs and do everything we need to be doing. And we're finding some bad actors and some bad things being put in our supply chain. And we're becoming completely dependent on manufacturers in other countries for life-saving, basic, even mostly generic drugs. Well, if you go through this, you're going to drive all of that into the welcoming arms.
That will be the new normal.
China or somewhere else.
Right.
They will now own the patents. They don't have to operate under American law.
And strategic leverage over us from a national security perspective is an even worse thing.